Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very festive Mocktails from the Cantina Live, show number 10 for the calendar year for 2021. It's coming to an end. And, there's something about Christmas and nostalgia and Star Wars that just go hand in hand. And I have two guests on the show tonight. They are not involved directly with my film projects like in the past. But these guys are rolling what I'm smoking. I got Tom from iGrewUpStarWars.com. And I also have Michael from Retroblasting. I don't know Michael. I just met him backstage for the first time. I called him by his middle name, so you'd think we've known each other for a little while. But I'm not super familiar with Retroblasting, but just based on the name alone, when Tom said, hey, can I bring a friend on? I said, you know what? Absolutely. A friend of yours is a friend of mine. It's Christmas time. Everyone's invited, of course. So I'm looking forward to some nostalgic, retro, holiday feels tonight. I want to bring on before I bring on my good friend, Tyler Page. If you guys are 21 and over, I want you to be drinking along with us. I hope you are. If not, grab yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee. My really, really cool Star Wars holiday pint glass here. The drinking word of the night is going to come out of a very cool stocking that matches, oddly enough, the pint glass there. And the drinking word of the night is Christmas. So every time you hear the word Christmas, make sure that you drink. If you're 21 and over only, drink responsibly. Drink like you're lit up, like Rudolph's red nose on Christmas Eve. And then, of course, for my Patreon members, and I could not do this show without you, I do have the jitters tonight because for the first time, we are broadcasting through Facebook Live. So welcome, Facebook world. I am sure that I'm opening the door for a bigger audience as well as some haters. But in this stocking, I'm going to pull out a name of a Patreon member to win a very cool holiday-oriented prize. I'm going to do that at the end of the show. This stocking is from my childhood. There's been many vintage Star Wars action figures from the Kenner line that were once in this stocking many moons ago. So I want to bring on my good friend Tyler Page. Tyler, how are you doing tonight, man? Thank you for taking the time to do this as always.
Yeah, chut to you, man. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Chut and ho, my brother. I don't know. We got the same calendar, Advent calendar, the Costco one. Do they come? Did you get this beer today?
I did get that beer today. I know they switch it up somewhat,
That just looks like a nutcracker.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very, very festive European beer. I don't even know what I'm drinking because I can't even read the label. I've been a fan of the beers so far. How about you?
Oh my God. There was one the other day that was so floral, and it was unlike a lager you can buy in the States most places. So
yeah, and these snobs on Untapped who slam it simply because it's not a milkshake IPA.
Yeah.
But this is a old world traditional beer. Now I have some folks on the show tonight that are all about retro and nostalgia. Now you grew up on the Star Wars prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the same sense of nostalgia when it comes to your Star Wars fandom as, let's say, somebody like myself or Jimmy Mack or Tom from I Grew Up Star Wars?
I mean, 100%. That's why I collect a lot of Phantom Menace stuff. But I don't necessarily connect it with Christmas as much as you guys do, I don't know why. I just connect it with summer. It's just that's when the movies were coming out.
Oh, that's when the movies. So. That's when the movies were out.
Mm-hmm.
But when Star Wars came out and when the toys were released shortly thereafter, it was a big seller for Christmas. You know. Oh, Tyler, I will catch up with you later on in the show. Thanks again, as always, for manning the helm behind the scenes. Tom from I Grew Up Star Wars, welcome to the show. You've been long overdue, my friend. I've been trying to get you on the show, I think, more aggressively than Steven Sansweet.
Well, Steve and I, we don't talk anymore. No, I'm just kidding. It's just the hardware is a problem, and you know, I've got a goiter, so I'm not really a fan of live video. Hi, everybody. So yeah, it should be interesting.
Well, hey, man, I thank you for doing this. I had the pleasure to be chatting with you on Facebook for many, many years. Finally met you in person at Star Wars Celebration. I have been a fan of what you do for a long, long time. And I want to, but before I bring on Michael, I want to talk to you a little bit about your website, igrewupstarwars.com. I look at you and what you do as somebody, not necessarily a historian, but like an archivist, if that's the right word I want to use. I mean, you are.
That's a good choice of words. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah,
all these really, really cool photos from people's childhood based around Star Wars. How long have you been doing this for, and how did the idea really come to be? Because nobody does it like you.
It's been about 10 years now. It's funny, I was looking at, I'm not sure where to look, so I'm going to, just bear with me. I'm going to go with the camera there. You know, when I was a kid, we always grew up, and my dad would take pictures, lots of pictures. But it was mostly, you know, birthdays and Christmas and that kind of thing. And of course, you know, from 1977 until present day, it was, most of the time it was Star Wars related because you got a figure, a toy or something. And of course, you know, you always wanted to show that to the camera. So you had something to remember that extra special Christmas by. So I figured I couldn't be the only one who had those type of pictures. And apparently that is absolutely not the case. So here we are. So basically, I mean, it's really low hanging fruit as far as getting those pictures, because I know everybody has them, or most people that are my age, and that's probably, I think I'm running on 95 now. Everybody has those pictures. Chris, I know you have. I have quite a few of your pictures as well. So and Michael's, I have a bunch of his, and countless other people. The list keeps growing, and the archive, I guess, for lack of a better word, keeps growing. So it's great.
How much? I think it's great what you do, and I think it's great that everybody comes to you and says, "Hey, man, can you house these photos in this archive of nostalgia and the world of retro, if you will?" How many photos do you have? Do you know how many you have? And is there a certain favorite photo if you had to pick, you know, one from your top 10 list? Like, what stands out where you're like, oh my God, that photo is just incredible. I'm so fortunate that I'm able to look at this right now and share this with the world.
How many photos I have now, I don't know. I wish I could do it. I would actually have to log into another machine to see how many photos have been posted already. But there is a photo, and I think, let me go to the keywords on another computer here. There's a keyword that I think is going to bring up my favorite photo because it is so moody and so awesome. Let me see here. Sorry to bring the show down here.
No, that's okay. No, man. No, but this is the kind of behind the scenes action that we're experiencing. I mean, you have to search in a keyword to come up with the.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is every photo has a keyword. So if you're looking for Kenner, if you're looking for Han Solo, if you're looking for Chris, it's there. So everything that I have under a certain word should be there, unless I was a little bit sloppy putting things in. But for the most part, if you're looking for Halloween, everything that's under Halloween, if someone's wearing a costume or something like that, it would be under there. But if you go to igrewupstarwars.com and you put in the search Ryan and Greedo. That'll actually bring Ryan Greedo 1979. That will bring a really cool. It's Ryan sitting in the back of his car, or maybe the front, and he's got a freshly pulled Greedo off the card, and he is holding him, and it looks like he just left, Kmart or something like that, and he is playing with this figure in the car after just picking it up from the store. And this one hits home so much because all the figures that I ever got, they wouldn't wait until we got home to open them. I had to open them as soon as possible. So
you kind of open it in the store, right? And then your mom would bring up the package, your mom would bring up the package and be like, hey, I need to pay for this. Here's the card back.
Pretty much. So, but when you say when you say what's my favorite, that's one of my favorites, but there are so many.
Yeah, and I think the reason why, like you said, that's a favorite one because the kids, like, he's in the parking lot of the Kmart or whatever. He just just got it off the rack. It's amazing. You guys got to check out igrewupstarwars.com. Before I bring on Michael, I want to ask you, because I follow you on Facebook as well. You have an obsession, if I'm not mistaken, with Bigfoot as well, yes?
That's also a kid thing. Watched In Search Of long time ago, and I was watching it at a neighbor's house, and it was the In Search Of the Abominable Snowman, and that's the first time that it aired. And I watched it at a friend's house, and I was just feet from my house to my door, and I was so scared. I don't think I've ever seen a person run from one house to another. And after that, the fact that, Bigfoot scared the shit out of me. I've been a fan ever since. And it's fun. I know people ask me do I really think that Bigfoot exists? I would say it's a 50-50 chance. And if you live in the Pacific Northwest, like I do, not far from Canada, not far from huge swaths of trees and land, it's not crazy to think that there's something out there. So
yeah, and I think we all have this young kid inside us, that still exists, especially around this time of year. It's like, yes, there is a Santa Claus.
Absolutely.
And if you guys have any retro photos of you as a kid from Star Wars, now Tom, is there a criteria like Tyler, if he's 2 years old when the Phantom Menace came out and he grew up Star Wars, are you accepting that stuff, or is it like from 77 to 85 kind of retro?
It's preferable if we're still going with the OT, but there's a number of prequel folks that have sent in photos, and they're there as well. So all you need to do is go to the website igrewupstarwars.com, and then you can go. There's a little mail icon at the top underneath the title, and you can send me an email. And that's probably the best way, because I have to take your image, I have to format it to the correct format, and then upload it myself. And if you'll allow me, I will actually add a fun little description. So I'm definitely putting you in the best light when you send me a photo.
Yes, and there is no negativity involved with vintage, old school Star Wars. I know some of us older fans have our certain feelings that might not be the most positive towards, let's say, episode 7, 8, and 9. But there's something about, and I don't want to get into that because it's the holiday season. We don't want to create.
The Mandalorian is a great show.
Yeah, Mandalorian.
And I'm sure that the new Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett, I'm sure will be great too.
And it's always great to see those retro characters. I want to bring on Tom. I'm going to keep you on as well because if anything comes off the rails with my next guest, who you've just introduced me to. Now, this is my guest but this is your guest that you brought onto this show, and I appreciate you bringing a friend. After all, it is the holiday season, and it's all about meeting new friends. And
absolutely,
as well as gathering. So I want to bring on Michael from Retroblasting. And I want to get Michael. Thank you so much for taking time.
Absolutely.
Join us on Machtails from the Cantina Live, the holiday edition, one of many, many holiday shows that we're going to have the entire month of December. You do, I'm going to guess, because I did see one of your videos on YouTube, and you were in a toy store that had vintage Star Wars stuff.
Yep.
I'm going to guess what you do is very similar to what Tom does, but you might be a little bit more audio and video related, where Tom is picture related. Is that a good guess?
Yeah, I do video content, like sort of infotainment mini documentaries and feature videos about the toys, and then also the related entertainment around those toys, whether it was TV, film, comic books, whatever it was, and I kind of deconstruct that stuff. And I have a very Gen X sort of sarcastic sense of humor with that, which of course is why Tom and I became fast friends, because we have a very similar sense of humor. And so that's what I've been doing since 2012 on Retroblasting. And it's weird. You look up one day and you realize you've got thousands and thousands of subscribers, and you go, how did that happen? And it's because everybody has this love of this stuff. And my whole background, as my computer turns off half my face, turn back on. My whole background has been in sort of like deconstructing this stuff in a kind of journalistic way. And that brings with it both an interesting point of view sometimes, but it also brought me to the realization that a lot of people haven't really analyzed this stuff, like an old cartoon like Star Wars Droids, for example, or Bionic 6 or something like that. And so when you really start to look at it, there's a lot of comedy there. Unintentional, but funny nonetheless.
Yeah, so it sounds like you might have the, historian perspective.
Yeah.
Where Tom is more the archivist, I guess.
Yes, Tom definitely has tapped into that living history kind of element of it. Some people have tried to tell me that I'm the Ken Burns of nostalgia, and I'm like, no, Tom is the Ken Burns of nostalgia. Like, he's literally got all the photos that he can just pan over and then get like a narrator who's like, it was 1978 and there I was at the Huddle House waiting with my power droid. Like, he could do a whole documentary like that because of all the stills that he's amassed. And I think it's awesome. I mean, not to be irreverent, although it is my default setting, Tom Burgess at I Grew Up Star Wars is the only man on earth that I would entrust my underage photos of myself with.
I think that's very, very, very well
for a
said.
minute there, and I'm not sure where you were going with that, but thank you very much. Oh, look at that! Look at that goiter, guys. Just real quick. Look at that.
Yeah, that is big.
Chris, that's why I don't do live video. So thanks for inviting me to live video.
Well, Tom, I know you've never. I've been trying to, like I said, I've been trying to get you on the show for a long time, and
I've been ducking you for a long time.
Like, okay, and I'm like, all right,
but now you had me against the wall, so I didn't have much of a choice.
I'm like, hey, we're gonna do a live show. We're gonna do.
And the amazing thing is, I have a main computer here. I have an iPad here and earphones. Any one of these things can go, nose up at any time. So we're really playing on stolen time is what we're doing.
No, we're also playing with somebody from yesteryear, like myself, that technology can be your friend and your worst enemy.
That's true.
Now, one thing I get super nostalgic about the holiday season. There is something that's super heavy about it. I feel like with Star Wars, I always say the novelty of nostalgia has worn off with vintage Star Wars for myself, because it's part of my life every day. So it's not as nostalgic, like, let's say, in the early 90s when I rediscovered it for the first time. It truly truly brought me back. For you guys, would you say that the nostalgia has kind of changed its life form, if you will, since you first rediscovered, like, let's say, old photos or old YouTube videos or that sort of thing? Is it considered nostalgia anymore if it doesn't have that same feeling?
Gosh,
Ooh,
Tom,
those
do
are
you want
good.
to take that first, or do you want me to fumble my way through it?
Oh, I want to hear you go first. I want to hear what you have to say first. By the way, Chris, these are fantastic. This footage is so awesome.
Thank you very much. I was very fortunate that my grandmother was big on videotape, and I'm very, very lucky that I have this footage. Having a photo is great, but seeing this old footage is like seeing the past
That
come to
doesn't even,
life.
that looks like 8mm. Is that
I-
videotape?
I believe it is 8mm. I'm sorry, I used the word videotape.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just looks too clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That looks great.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. But before you guys answer that question that I threw at you, for me too, like, nostalgia was a super important part of my life because I lost my father. He passed away when I was 7 years old. So I don't get crazy about, say, Christmas of '83 because my dad died in November of '82. But I get crazy about like '75, which was the year I was born, all the way up until probably '81 was like the last really, really great Christmas that I remember because of the tragedy that I had. But not everybody has had tragedy to bring in nostalgia to their life. Not everybody has went through needed to go through hell and back to kind of relive the old days of yesteryear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I've talked a lot with friends about this over the years about, will current generations of children have the same kind of attachment to certain toys, properties, memories? Will they even process memory the same way that we did, because of the way that we grew up versus the way they do? And right now there still seems to be a window at a very young age where children are still engaging with toys and cartoons in a similar fashion, but they're disengaging from it much earlier. So because of mobile devices and video games and the speed of that revolving door of product that's out there and the hype machine, look how fast a movie gets on streaming services now from when it's still barely in the theater. Now everything's at your fingertips. It's not as special to wait for dad to come home from the rental store with Empire Strikes Back, which just came out on videotape. I don't know if a kid would hold on to the memory of seeing a movie at home, for the first time, because we take it for granted now, and kids are born into taking it for granted. They haven't seen the evolution of it. I mean, you, Tom, myself, we all remember what it was like to be in a house before there was a VCR. I mean, if it was on TV, you caught it and that was it. Otherwise, you went to the movie theater or maybe over to somebody else's house and watched their broadcast TV. But we were there for the beginnings of cable television, VCRs. I remember this kid, a few houses away, not in my neighborhood, but a few miles away. His dad had a CED player, which that was those big wafer-like record movie things. I don't think kids today can even process that world. That world is gone. I mean, it's gone. So I think nostalgia is fundamentally different. I wonder if a child who's probably in their teens now, when they get our age, they're going to be like trolling eBay to buy an LG chocolate cell phone or something. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's possible. I don't know.
Right.
Or maybe they don't care because they're so used to the next new thing that maybe their experience, their life experience, isn't about holding on to the old. Their experience is what's next.
Yeah.
For us, it's a totally different thing. It's a tangible analog world. Whereas for them, it is a very fly by the seat of your pants digital world. And I'm sure there are pros and cons to both. But as somebody who straddled that line, you know, from when we were born, our, you know, 70s babies, we kind of have that world of, well, we saw the transition. You know, we're the people before us who are still alive, they're almost left behind by it. You know, the majority of them are like, yeah, that newfangled jitterbug phone I've got, woohoo! You know, they don't really know what that's all about.
We live in a world that's more technology driven, instant gratification.
Yeah. So I don't know how that's going to affect nostalgia for them at the end of the day, but it will be different. There's no doubt about it.
You know what? It's funny. I had my good friend John Tenuto on, who is a sociology professor. And I got to tell you, Michael, thank you so much for your answer on that.
Because I know it was too long. Sorry, I know it was too long.
No, it was great. No, it was perfect. It was detailed, and it made a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And it's exactly how I feel. But I just was wondering, why could I not, look at it and get that answer myself? I've asked, I'm like the seeker, right? That song by The Who. I'm always looking for, these answers that I don't have questions to. And I asked that to a therapist. I asked that to a sociology professor. But I got it from you. I got it from you, the historian on nostalgia. And I think that's really, really, really well said. Now I want to reel it back in to Christmas chat. Now, there was a film that came out. It's gotten as much mixed reviews as episode 7, 8, and 9. But us as Star Wars fans, we love Christmas. We're getting nostalgic about Christmas because toys were huge when we were kids. Like you said, things changed a little bit. Thank God my daughter still plays with toys. But when Star Wars toys came out, it changed the toy world, the toy universe. And we got a lot of toys for Christmas. But the Star Wars Holiday Special, which came out before the toys came out, how do you guys feel about it? Would you say it's a guilty pleasure, or are you proud, based on your if you like it, are you proud to say, you know what, I like that show?
Don't be ripping on the holiday special.
It would be a war crime to not let Tom answer this first. So Tom, go ahead.
Did you guys watch I don't think Michael, you didn't watch the holiday special when it came out live.
I was alive, but I was too young to have been there to see it at the time. I have seen it multiple times since then in increasing quality as better masters are found.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And Chris, did you watch the holiday special when it came out?
No, my story behind that is because I'm like, why didn't I not watch that? We were actually moving in my childhood house.
Also, you were probably, if you were born in 75, you would have been 3.
Yes.
So I mean that you can't. Hey, I'm going to go down and turn on the TV whenever I want to. And
yeah, right. You got to have the parents like, hey, this is.
I can't remember watching too much TV by myself when I was 3, anyway. So, but when the holiday special came out, for me I was 8, and anything I say this all the time. Anything that had Star Wars, anything to do with Star Wars, was quickly consumed as ravenously as you can imagine. So when we heard that the holiday special came out, it was an event, not for anybody else in the house. It was for me. So Mom made homemade French fries, and I was down there alone in the basement watching the holiday special. And it's funny how much the holiday special gets shade. It's almost like the cartridge, the Atari cartridge ET destroyed the video game.
Right.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's stupid because number one, if you were a kid, which I was right in that perfect demographic, 8 years old, 10 years old, and you were so hungry for Star Wars, and you first started getting the figures and stuff that year, to watch Wookiees growling at themselves, I don't know why people say it's so hard to understand, because I mean, there was a lot of mime going on there. Not to say that it was hard to understand, because the 70s seemed to be filled with mime people, Shield and Yarnell and all that stuff. So that didn't seem to be difficult to understand. You know, you had a little plucky, little chubby, little Wookiee kid that was excited about Life Day, and mom was sick and tired of his crap, or her crap. I don't know what she is exactly. And then you had grandpa that didn't, that was sick of everybody's shit to begin with. So, I mean, what was that so hard to understand? I had no problem, understanding that. So the Wookiees I thought were awesome. The fact that you got to see more of the Cantina creatures, and that was just a treat when I was a kid. Better slowed down. These stormtroopers were walking around and they were barely moving. So you got a lot of, got a great look at what the stormtrooper outfits looked like. So as far as behind the scenes and that kind of thing, I always liked how things, I was always interested how Star Wars worked behind the scenes. And the holiday special, believe it or not, gave you a great idea of how things worked and what they looked like with the lights on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, I mean, you had the Imperial commander, the Death Squad commander. He was wearing the hat, the big helmet and everything. You got a great view of all that stuff, which was just an amazing treat. And the fact that B. Arthur is dancing around with Walrus Man is incredible.
Yeah, I still watch that show to this day, and it's still a treat to see that Cantina scene. And if you look at all the talent that was in that TV show, it is like A-listers of the time. I guess it's just a quirky thing, and it might be a little too long, but I don't believe there's anything super negative about it. If anything, it's taught us a lesson, especially myself as a filmmaker, and we see this with The Mandalorian as well. Mandalorian's great. It's not a Star Wars film that's on the big screen that was made for the movie theater, and I believe that you can kind of see that. Star Wars was so so groundbreaking when it came out, that the holiday special had come out shortly after it, before Empire Strikes Back. And the thing is, it's a TV show, and it's just such a different animal. So, Tom, you sound like a proud fan, not a guilty pleasure. Michael, how do you feel about the holiday special? I know you said you've seen it. It's getting better and better as more digitally remastered bootlegs have been produced. It's a matter of time before Disney Plus releases it, because this year they just started making official Life Day merchandise.
It was just a matter of time. It was a matter of time. We had to just wait them out 40 years. That's all we needed to do.
Exactly. So now, would you say you're a proud fan, or would you say it's a guilty pleasure of yours?
I'm a fan of it. It is a fingerprint of a period of entertainment that, again, can't be replicated. In other words, the variety show was a big deal in the 70s and into the early 80s.
I was just going to say that. Absolutely. Yeah.
And even though I didn't get to see it until later, you have to understand, when I found out in the 90s that existed, because they only broadcast at one time, and I wasn't able to go to like comic conventions and even know that there were things called bootleg VHS tapes that you could buy of lost programs. When I found out that there was more live action footage of Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher in character as Luke, Leia, and Han Solo, that was mind blowing. And I heard all the stories from people saying, "Oh, it's not good. It's not, it's really bad." And yeah, sure. I mean, there's some sequences that hold up better than others. The animated part with Boba Fett is great. It's
I know they released that on Disney Plus.
Yeah, see, right. And I really liked seeing some of the alien costume stuff and the droids reused and everything like that. Yeah, some of it doesn't doesn't pass muster. But I have to believe it also didn't pass muster then. But I have no hate in my heart for it. As a matter of fact, that's why I left my chair for a second. I love the place that the holiday special occupies in Star Wars lore so much. Tom was just talking about how the holiday special gave him extra behind the scenes insight into how Star Wars worked. Well, I had this lifelong fascination with Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. Like, I don't mean the one from Jedi. I mean the one that, although I like that one, I mean the one that Obi-Wan gives him, his dad's lightsaber. And so this enterprising prop maker noticed, I don't know, it must have been in the background of a video I did or something, but he noticed that I was missing one. And so he made for me Luke's holiday special lightsaber.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And he even went so far as to give it a acrylic case with a plaque, like it would be Master Replica style.
Yeah,
it was engraved, and it said, how Luke Skywalker holiday special lightsaber, Star Wars. You wouldn't know. I mean, this is it's an actual prop. It's not like a resin pull. He put all the components together. That's the specialness of the holiday special. It's sorry to be redundant, but that's the magic of the holiday special. It is this almost lost artifact from original legacy Star Wars history, and thank goodness for the fans that have preserved it.
That lightsaber hilt that you have, that's one of a kind.
Yeah, somebody just made this for me based off all the research that people have done on the replica props forum, the RPF, and this guy put this together and then just surprised me with it. And when I went to the RPF to look up anything about it, I noticed that the most informative thread was the one in which he was building this one, but just wasn't saying that he was sending it to me. So it's kind of funny.
That's not even like modeled after a Graflex or anything, is it?
Yeah, it's actually this part right here. The body of it is a Graflite flash, which is okay. Graflex
Same
is like
as Vader's.
Yeah, it's one of their later ones. Yeah, and it's in the Snow Speeder, and it's in the X-wing and stuff like that.
Right,
yeah.
Super cool. Super cool, man.
Yeah.
Okay, this is me to my next question. Who had, now, even though it was not released officially, but I was just talking about this on my Patreon only podcast, Carrie Fisher singing in the holiday special, the talent that she has as a singer was on a different level because her father, Eddie Fisher, who put out his own Christmas music, probably even more than one record. But what had a better soundtrack, including the Jefferson Starship in the holiday special? Or was it Bon Jovi and his uncle? I believe it was his uncle that owned the studio, Christmas in the Stars. Do you have a favorite soundtrack, one or the other, even though the holiday special was yet to be released as a soundtrack?
Here's a sick admission. I don't think I've listened to that soundtrack from start to finish.
Oh, well, which one? The
Bon Jovi one.
That one there.
Yeah, I could sing with Carrie from the holiday special, but I don't know that. I am a bad fan.
Okay, no, it doesn't make you a bad fan. It's just that you have a preference. Now I got to ask you, do you have a copy of this?
No, I do not.
Okay, I need your address. I'll send you a Christmas gift.
I thought you were going to come and beat the crap out of me.
No, not at all.
I
not at all.
That.
Yeah, this album came out. I want to say it came out in 1980. I don't have my readers on, and the print is very, very fine in the back. But this is an old school recording. It was, came out, I believe, right after Empire Strikes Back. Now, how about you, man? Have you heard this?
I've only seen the cover of it. I've never actually heard it. So I'm in the same bucket with Tom on this one.
Oh man, we suck, Chris. What you're going to do is you're going to delete us, and it'll be about a 5-minute Christmas special. Sorry about it.
That is okay. I find it interesting though for two guys that are super nostalgic and retro, especially with Star Wars.
There's nothing I could say to make this situation better. There really isn't.
You know what though? I will send you guys both a copy of these. I will send you guys.
Chris,
both
really, you don't have to.
Chris, tell me what your favorite track off that soundtrack is. That's what I want to know.
My favorite soundtrack on this one has got to be R2D2. We Wish You a Merry Christmas.
That sounds like a lazy track.
It's a lazy track. It ended up on the cutting room floor. It's on the bonus portion of the DVD.
Wow, it's a bonus track.
I would say, no, I was just joking about the bonus track bit. I would have to say R2D2. This is my guilty pleasure. This is my guilty pleasure right here.
Everybody's got one.
Did the Jawas sing Jingle Bells or something like that?
No, there are a lot of original compositions in here. Christmas in the Stars, that kicks it off. And when you hear Anthony Daniels sing a Christmas song, seriously, SC3PO, there is something that is...
that sounds like an absolute treat. I'm going to go to YouTube after this. I really am. Because
in the Stars, it has got to be the funnest, cheesiest, goofiest holiday music I believe that I have ever heard. They do Sleigh Ride, which is a traditional song, but other than that, Bells, 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 The Odds Against Christmas. Okay, that's of course it ties in
by Han Solo.
Han Solo, Empire Strikes Back. But this features Anthony Daniels and a very, very young Bon Jovi. It does not, and it features Chewbacca and R2, but it does not feature Carrie, Mark, or Harrison on this.
Chris, strangely enough, if you would invited Anthony Daniels to your show here, I'm sure he would probably be in the corner down there too. He doesn't miss anything. He really doesn't. And then he'll be a jerk to you.
So I wonder why that is. He doesn't miss anything. We are holding on to nostalgia, and we always love revisiting the past. But you know what? Now that Anthony Daniels might not be part of any Star Wars film project moving forward, I don't know. Is Anthony Daniels going to reprise?
Anthony Daniels hasn't missed anything since 1977.
You know,
I mean, I heard something about that he would,
unless there's something wrong.
Voice. He's going to do the voice, I think, as long as he can. I think he's out of the suit from now on, though. Which whatever.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, who can fit in that suit?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah,
you got to be a skinny dude. God bless Anthony Daniels for fitting in that suit for so long. Good grief.
Yep. He had a good metabolism. I'll put it that way.
Yes, a lot of lemon in the water. That's for sure.
I can't possibly eat anything more than asparagus. Thank you.
I thought I was thin and had an issue with anorexia, but apparently Anthony.
You know what? Some of us don't have that problem. I'll take 3 steaks, please. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Well, hey, you're still with us. You're still with us, and you're living.
Now, yeah.
Tom Burgess here for Stouffer's Chicken a la King.
I love that stuff.
I know.
I am going to.
It's interesting, Chris. Before we move on to another subject, I heard, and I'm not sure if this is correct, I heard that Carrie Fisher was more than willing to sing that song in the holiday special because she wanted to kind of dip her toe into possibly a little bit of a singing career. I'm not sure if that is 100% true, but I could see that happening, and I'm sure she would have been amazing with it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? It's there's been a lot of you know what's funny? Completely different than Star Wars. Definitely never mix these two up. But William Shatner has a holiday album, and of course that came out. Are you saying there was a lot of nose candy involved in that recording?
Just a little bit.
But William Shatner is still with us today. But I gotta tell you, Carrie Fisher having a singing career makes sense because her dad was a phenomenal singer.
Yes.
You know,
so I totally could have seen that happening if she would. I would really love to, know the story of. I would have bought her albums. She's fantastic. So
absolutely, and I think as much as the critics make fun of her singing in the holiday special and saying that she might have been under the heavily influence. I still think that her voice is just beautiful in that recording. You know,
It's good. It'll just keep the dogs out of the room. It'll be fine.
Okay, so I want to throw it back to some nostalgia and some retro times. Now, I'm going to list 4 stores that were popular during the holiday season.
Okay.
Now, let me know if you have a favorite. Let me know if you've ever heard of any of these, because some of these might not have existed in your neighborhood, because it might have been a regional thing, and I did not do the research on that.
Okay.
But there's a lot of great YouTube holiday commercials based around these stores that are no longer with us. Tom and Michael, this one's for you guys. Machtails.
No. I'm a
Definitely
West Coaster, so I've never heard of that place.
Okay.
I was living in Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. So
okay, I don't know. The Machtails was a spot that only Grandma took me to. It was like a closer Toys R Us. They had a great selection of Star Wars toys. What about Zayre?
Oh, now I knew Zayre's real well. Yeah,
I thought that was a Canadian store, but maybe
if
I'm
it
wrong.
did, they
I
had a
guess I'm wrong.
location in Nashville. I'll tell you that much. Right across the street from
that's possible.
Yeah, right across the street from the shoe factory. Yeah, right outside the airport. Yeah, Zayre's.
Well, this is going badly for me, but I will add mine when you get done with yours.
Zayre's was where I ended up buying Forlom. Yes, the real Kenner Forlom, not Zuckus, formerly known as Forlom.
Right.
Kenner's mistake is my reality. Forlom. That's where I got Forlom, Nin Num, or Nine Num, however you pronounce it. I got a number of toys from Zayre's there. I think my brother bought his Battle Cat and Skeletor there as well. So
okay, so Zayre is hitting the old school.
Yep.
For you. Yep. You bought a lot of stuff there. What about the service of merchandise?
Oh yeah.
Tom,
Whoa.
You got to throw me
Really?
2 stores, man. What did you?
No, we didn't have anything. I lived in a small town, so what we had is. Can I name the ones that I shopped at?
Yeah. You know what?
Real quick.
You lived in a small town. That is again where your obsession with Bigfoot started, I'm sure.
Right. Well, I was in Idaho, so you know we had Bigfoot, and then we had. Here's my show. Here's my stores. So we've Payless Drug. You know that one?
Yep. No, I don't know Payless.
It's a regional thing. Obviously, we're doing that. Payless Drug, Montgomery Ward.
Yes.
Yeah, Montgomery Ward. They were everywhere.
Sears, usually through the Sears Wish Book.
Yep.
And JCPenney.
Yep.
And I think that's it. Did I say Payless yet?
Yeah,
you
said Payless. Yeah.
Right. That's it.
Okay.
We were limiting. I mean, we were limited. We had a Kmart and we had a McDonald's, and that's all we had in my town.
But in back in the day, that's all you needed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That is all you need.
The catalog did the talking for sure.
Yes.
The last one I have on my list of throwback stores, and I didn't put any of the big ones like Toys R Us or anything like that.
Yeah.
But there was a store called Turnstile in the Chicago area that became Jewel Osco eventually. That might be more
your first and last ones must be regional. I know the service merchandise and I know Zayre's, but I haven't heard of the 2 on the ends. Yep.
Wow.
David Gladding says Toy Master was where I got my figs from as a kid. David grew up in the UK, obviously.
Cool.
You know, it's crazy that there were so many different regional stores. And speaking about Montgomery Ward and Sears, I want to say that Montgomery Ward was based out of Chicago. Those guys
probably,
they were as big as
right.
Amazon back in the day. I took a Chicago boat tour, and there were so many buildings built for the warehouses on the Chicago River for Montgomery Ward and for Sears. I mean, back in the day, those guys, of course you know them because they ruled the world back then.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, talking about Christmas, take a drink, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I wish I had a drink, but anyway, the thing is, these Sears catalog, Montgomery Ward catalog. My gosh, that was a huge part of Christmas.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Sears
For us
catalog,
growing
yes.
up, absolutely. I mean, those few pages were incredible, and when the folks weren't looking, you went right to the girls' underwear section, and that was just as magical.
Also true.
Now you are showing your age. You're a little older than me, because when I was looking at the Sears catalog, I was just interested in Star Wars toys. I was not interested in the ladies quite yet. What are some of the toys that you
Fair
remember
enough.
getting before Star Wars came along? Some of the ones that I had. Tom, I know you've been a big fan of Adventure People.
Ah,
That was huge for me. Weebles
Yeah.
were big for me. And of course, Disney toys and Sesame Street toys were a big thing growing up as a kid as well. How about you
yeah,
guys?
the Fisher Price stuff.
Yeah, Fisher Price, Leia, the Fisher
Yeah,
Price little
you
people.
know,
That was huge.
Those were great. You know what? It's hard for me to actually remember a time where Star Wars toys didn't have, most of my collecting time, my play time. But I think if I'm going to go back further than Star Wars, I would say Adventure People, most definitely, Chris,
Mhm.
and the Sesame Street Fisher Price playset and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I
even
also
before that,
love the signature Adventure People pose, which is
Right.
yeah,
like he's kind of got like one hand like this and one hand's always like this, because that way
Yeah.
you can grab a steering wheel, which I thought was
right,
really
exactly.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah,
If they look great. They're the best looking action figures in their vehicles because they actually made them so they look like they're driving.
Yes.
yeah,
cool.
it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Until
Yeah.
G.I. Joe came along,
When I'm
because
dead and buried, I want my arm to be in the coffin. I want
Yeah.
that.
But that's the thing, Chris, is that GI Joes they could only drive the steering wheel like this if you were lucky. Whereas the Adventure People, depending on which one you had, it either looked like he was shifting the gear shifter or he had one on the steering wheel. And also, they didn't fall apart like GI Joes did. I mean, those things are practically nuclear bomb proof. I mean, I think like the roaches, they'll still be here when we're gone. I mean, they're just indestructible. They're just
The great thing about Adventure People is they were indestructible, yes, but they got floppy. And the great thing is that Stormtrooper could take an Adventure People person and throw them across a room, and they would just, they would sock puppet across the floor, hit the wall, and just like they're dead, which was awesome. So I had many Adventure
you guys
People
at
that
home,
met.
if you have no clue what we're talking about, that is the great thing about YouTube. And I love Googling, not Googling, but YouTubing in the search bar, vintage Christmas service merchandise commercial, vintage Christmas Montgomery Ward commercial. I'm a geek for that, and you guys can check out a lot of the commercials on the Machtails from the Cantina holiday episode from last year. But I've opted out of editing an hour and 40-minute holiday special. It's been too much work. We are just going live for this year during the holiday season. I want to ask you guys one last question. It's a two-parter. What was the one favorite Star Wars thing that you remember opening for Christmas? For me, we saw the video earlier. It was the Millennium Falcon. As far as a gift that I wanted that never got, it was probably all the other Star Wars toys that I did not have. How about for you guys? What's the one thing that you got for Christmas that you still remember to this day, just being in awe over?
1980, Slave One. I knew I was getting Slave One because when my parents would leave to go to dinner or something like that, I would go under the Christmas tree, unwrap the Slave One, take the Slave One out, put the Slave One stickers on, play with the Slave One, put it back into the packaging, put it under the tree. Probably did that 2 or 3 times before Christmas. And of course, the tough thing for me was actually acting like I was surprised that I got Slave One for Christmas.
Wow, your parent, man, you were kind of a shady kid when you were a kid.
Well, my dad was here's the thing. My dad was a doctor, and he always took this surgical tape. And the foolish thing about surgical tape is it's not very tacky. And the thing is, I would, that's what they wrapped all the presents with. So, hey, you make that mistake, and you've got an ingenious little goofball like me who can see the weakness in the tape. He's gonna take advantage of that.
Now, what about a gift that you didn't get? That you wanted?
Pretty much everything other than the Slave One. What I did remember is I was really figure focused, so figures were top. That was the number one thing for me to get. A vehicle was few and far between. So during my childhood Star Wars career, I would say I probably had the Slave One, obviously, land speeder, and the AT-AT Walker, and that was it.
But you got everything. You had the whole entire line of figures up until a certain point.
I think no, actually, Luke was elusive. I kind of gave up on that search because I would think that Luke was probably too popular. So I never had a farm boy Luke. I never had a regular Leia, A&H Leia. And the weird thing about me is I never returned to the figures. So once Empire came back, I was kind of focused on Empire Strikes Back. And then I was focused on Return of the Jedi. And I was maybe a wave or two into Return of the Jedi. And then I got into riding bicycles and being a complete nerd.
And then you started getting, like my friend Jimmy Mack always says, you get to that certain age when Star Wars is...
You do.
So, you get into the girls at that point, and you're like, I don't want to play with Star Wars toys.
I was into girls. Girls were not into me. So,
I know how that story ends.
Thank me for trying, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned Princess Leia, because I remember my grandmother getting me Princess Leia for Christmas, and I was like, I opened my sister's gift by accident here. And she said, no, that's for you. And I was just... It was the Star Wars figure that I got when I was a kid, when I was like, what the hell did I get this for? But now it's like, I would love to have, like you said, that like that Greedo in that photo you were talking about, that vintage Carrie Fisher Princess Leia action figure from A New Hope. I would love. Oh no, actually, it wasn't that one. It was the Bespin. It was the Bespin one. Michael, how about for you? What's the one Star Wars gift that you got where you were just completely amazed?
Yeah.
Blown away. What was the one thing that you wish you got but never did?
Christmas of 1983. We usually my parents allowed my younger brother and I to give each other the gifts that we were getting for one another on Christmas Eve, right? So my brother was allowed to give me the gift he was getting me, and then we had to wait until Christmas morning to open the rest of it. So Christmas Eve night, my brother and my mom are surreptitiously downstairs in the den wrapping something for me. And as they come back up the stairs, because we had that set sort of 60s house with a split level kitchen, they're coming up the 3 steps, and my mom distinctly says to my brother, remember, don't tell him what it is. And my brother immediately says, Merry Christmas, Michael. It's the X-Wing fighter.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, oh. So I tell my, because I was dying for the X-Wing fighter, dying for it. And I told my mom, I said, and as a kid, having to wait hours and hours through dinner and then overnight and all that stuff is an eternity. So I told my mom, I said, well, Mom, can I just open that one? Because I know what it is. And she goes, no, that's not the one from your brother. You have to open the one from your brother. And I'm like, but then I know what 2 gifts are.
Yeah.
And Mom didn't care. Mom was like, so I ended up opening the Y-Wing fighter, which, by the way, amazing toy. The Y-Wing, it's an amazing toy. It continues in my eyes 40 years later to get greater and greater and greater. Just my admiration for that toy and its design is awesome. But at 5 years old or whatever in that incident, I'm sitting there and I'm opening the Y-wing going, this is great. But so what my mom's boneheaded decision did was it frustrated the crap out of me, and it underserved the Y-wing when it was revealed at the time. So it was like, and then I had to sit. So that was the one that I loved the most from Christmases, was the X-Wing fighter. The one that I never got that I wish I would have gotten is probably the snow. Oh, no, it is the snow speeder. I wish I would have had a snow speeder in childhood. I never had one. Other kids had them, and I got to play with them a few times. Now I own like 3 because I just 3 vintage ones because that's like the unicorn, the one that got away. That was just a brilliant toy. It looked just like it did in the film. It had a great light up effect. Probably next to the AT-AT, the best light up effect in the whole line.
Yeah.
Just a gorgeous toy. Fit 2 pilots, like so good. But yeah, that's the one I wish I would have had as a kid that I never did.
I had the snow speeder as a kid. Never had the Y-wing. Never had the AT-AT. But I have them now. I think that's the great thing about being an adult. You can just buy the stuff that we didn't get, that we did not get as kids.
Yeah.
Side note for my Slave One. Let me cut. Let me cut you off right there, Chris. I never had the Slave One either. Never had the Slave One. I had to stop because before I forget, which I will in about 5 seconds, it's leaving my brain. That Slave One was restored by my friend Michael French with Retroblasting.
That's right. That's right.
So Michael, you got a bunch of videos with you restoring all sorts of cool things, and Michael restored my Slave One a few years back. So thank you. I know I've said thank you, but thank you once again.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And DSC thanks you as well.
And before I let you guys go, Michael, I want to ask, how do people follow you and listen to your show and watch the videos that you've done?
Sure. You can find me. It's all one word, Retroblasting, ING, on YouTube. You can find me under that name on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Retroblasting. We have 93,000 subscribers on YouTube. And several thousand on each of the other platforms. So we're pretty easy to find. And I say that as not a humble brag, but just as I feel grateful every day that that people have caught on to my show like they have. I'm very fortunate. So yeah, you can find us on YouTube. That's our main portal, Retroblasting, youtube.com/Retroblasting.
Very cool. I want to thank both of you guys for joining me tonight on the show. And, Michael, I got to tell you, I'm a little jealous because as a filmmaker, I feel like I do a lot of work with Machtails from the Cantina. And, God, if I could have a fraction of your followers.
Let me put it in perspective for you. I started in 2012. So it's taken me 10 years to still not get 100,000 subscribers.
Sure.
So in some ways, I've watched people show up in like 2018 and they're like, I've got a YouTube channel and low cut shirts. And then they just like fly right past me.
Yeah, sure.
Which is like, okay. And, so I just kind of keep doing what I do. That's what I love about sites like, yourself and 2 Cents Toys, which is a good friend of mine, Analog Toys. I grew up Star Wars. I like the fact that all of us are just doing what we love rather than pandering for clicks. And the passion comes through. The passion and the knowledge really comes through. And it also, I think in many ways, I can't speak for myself because I have a lot of haters, but for everybody else, there's a kind of laid back feeling to it. I think I'm laid back. I think I'm pretty cavalier, but if you were to ask my critics, they'd say no. But for you guys, like, I love the realness. I love the fact that we can all just hang out and talk about this in an authentic way. And we're all still just kids in the toy aisle. Like,
Absolutely.
That's the whole thing. Like, I like talking to other guys who were kids in the toy aisle with me. Like, people ask me all the time, like, what prototype would you love to have? And I'm like, none. You wouldn't?
Yeah.
I'm like, nah. What unproduced toy would you like to have? None. What? It's like, I'm in love
with you, Michael.
What's that?
I'm with you, for sure.
Yeah, I'm in love with the stuff that we could all get and share. That was my thing. So
It's cool, but for some reason, it's if you couldn't get it when you were a kid, there's no interest in it for me, and maybe
yeah.
that's just me being really shallow or very,
Mm-mm.
But
No.
whatever. I mean, I like what I like. You like what you like. Michael, of course, likes everything because he's got to cover it on his channel.
Well, I get in
So
trouble.
it's amazing how much stuff this guy has.
I get in trouble for mentioning things that I review on my channel that's vintage, meaning like non-Star Wars vintage that I totally don't like. So I'll review.
I think that's the problem too, right? The bigger you get,
Hello?
the more haters enter into the world, which kind of,
Yeah, but see, that's the other thing. The thing that I find entertaining, the thing that brings me a lot of fun is humor within this stuff. I like looking at the weird stuff about it. So like I've done a whole series called Star Wars Follies, of which Tom is in a number of them, where we talk about the vintage Star Wars toys and some of the weird things about them, some of the kind of odd things about them that I find hilarious. And yet some people, they want everything to always be perfect, and anything you say that's making fun of the stuff you love is blasphemous. And I'm just not like that. I'm like, look, I love these things, but I'll tell you right now, Imperial Dignitary is a useless action figure, or something like that.
Sure.
The yellow lightsaber's weird. Like, I find that fun to look into that and talk about. Some people, I guess, don't, and I'm okay with that. But
I always say, and I'm not guilty for saying this, and it might not get a lot of love, but I feel like He-Man and G.I. Joe at some point, and Transformers, were the death of Star Wars toys.
Yeah, although not having a movie after Return of the Jedi didn't help.
Yes, not having a movie too, because there were no Star Wars. It's weird that whole timing with these, G.I. Joe, full articulation, Transformers. I did not have any Transformer toys because I was not in, my family was not in that pay bracket to afford those kind of toys. But yeah, not having the movie come out at the same time too, definitely killed.
It would have held on. I think it would have held on because in '85 they made a good range of figures, barring too many Ewoks. But I think what they did was they were like, "Hey, let's bring out these two cartoons that are total duds," and it was like, "Oh, if you just not brought out those cartoons and continued making movie figures, I think Star Wars might have gone on as toys into '86 and possibly even '87." But
yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. But hey, guys, I want to thank you again. Merry Christmas to the both of you. And I look forward to checking out your content. And remember, Retroblasting, check them out. And also, igrewupstarwars.com. They go hand in hand. If you guys love Machtails from the Cantina, you will definitely love what these guys are producing. I do want to give a shout out to Action Figure Movie Minute, who has been chiming in on the chat. He said he just subscribed to the Machtails from the Cantina channel. I'm well on my way now. Yes, I will get to 1,000 subscribers at some point. But I'm going to let you guys go, and I am going to draw out a name of Patreon members from my retro vintage childhood stocking that had lots of. This was the home on Christmas Eve night and Christmas Eve morning, where I received many vintage action figures. And I have a tradition, a family tradition, never wrap the gifts that go in the stocking. It just, mom and dad, they're sleeping. They might have had too much holiday cheer the night before. And so, you know what? I'm going to get up 10 minutes after you get up at 5 a.m. You can open your stocking. That's about it. So tonight's winner is going to win a very, very cool holiday patch from Elvin Johnson in the 501st. This is from 2019. These patches always sell out. That is Grogu on top of R2KT, Elvin's daughter, late daughter that lives through the pink droid. I always buy great patches from him. Tonight's winner, remember, you got to be present to win. Andy from Miami. Andy, you always watch the show. You're a big supporter. You were my first Patreon member. Are you there? You need to reply in the chat. Going once, going twice. And he is not here. Okay, I'm going to do three names. 3 strikes and you're out at the old ball game. John Drake just did Music Monday, Megadeth versus Metallica. Oh, that is Andy from Miami. He is here. So he, hey, you had won this patch. And again, Andy, thank you so much for your support. And I got you, Andy. Remember, join us on Patreon. We are going to be doing several holiday-oriented shows throughout the entire month of December. We also have some brand new holiday t-shirts that you can pre-order. I cannot guarantee that they will be there on time before Christmas because I'm not in control of the U.S. Post Office. But you also get a pin, just like the logo in the corner with the silver Kenner style banner. PM me, Chris Macht on Facebook. You can also reach us on Machtails from the Cantina on Facebook. And you can also hit us up on Patreon. I will have the information there. I want to thank my Patreon members, David Gladding, Andy from Miami. Who else do we have chime in? I'm sure we had Rich Brendel here this evening. And J-Man had also chimed in as well. So, hey guys, we will catch you next time on Mocktails from the Cantina. May your holiday